Today, I will rank the best and worst exercises for muscle building across all muscle groups. We will use this tier list. S-ranked movements will be the best of the best absolute GOATs, while D-ranked ones, well, they are basically trash. I'll be ranking each exercise based on 3 key categories. Number 1, progressive overload. This is the ability to consistently increase weight or intensity, ensuring your muscles are always challenged and growing. Number 2, muscle stretch. This focuses on maximizing the range of motion, fully stretching the muscle to enhance growth and flexibility. Number 3, overall feel. Some exercises may offer easy progressive overload and provide a constant stretch on the muscle, but if they aren't beginner-friendly or require complex techniques to learn, they didn't make it to the top of our list. Let's start from top to bottom and kick things off with the first muscle group on our agenda, the chest. You ever notice how every guy claims they're working on their chest, but somehow every gym still looks like a museum of flat, lifeless pecs? Everybody wants the Greek statue chest, the armor plate chest, the I wear a t-shirt but it still looks like a superhero suit chest. But most people train chest like it's a casual hobby. 3 random exercises, half-range reps, bar bouncing off the sternum like they're trying to summon Thor. And then they sit there wondering why their chest still looks like a cutting board. Not today. Because today, we're ranking the most popular chest exercises from best to absolute garbage using the classic tier list. S represents the GOAT section, or in other words, the best of the best. And D tiers, well, that's the trash section. We're starting strong with the decline bench press, one of the kings of lower chest development. But let's address the elephant in the room. Most people do this exercise like they're trying to break their spine. Decline can give you a crazy contraction, but the range of motion shrinks. The setup looks like a NASA launch, and the chance of shoulder discomfort goes way up if you start placing the bar over your neck like a confused pelican. But when done right, decline hits the lower pecs beautifully, lets you lift heavy, and works great for creating that shelf-like chest look. A tier because it's powerful, but not perfect. And please, for your safety and my blood pressure, keep the bar away from your throat. Now the dumbbell version. On paper, this should be amazing. In reality, this is the exercise that tests your sanity. Getting into position with heavy dumbbells on a decline bench feels like trying to wrestle a pair of sea lions. If you don't have a spotter, you look like a gym fail clip waiting to happen. And that instability makes it hard to go heavy without swinging the weights around like you're starting a lawnmower. Great tension? Yes. Great stretch? Yes. Practical? Mixed opinions. That's why it sits in C tier. Now we're entering holy territory. The bench press is the OG chest builder. It hits mid-chest beautifully, adds strength to your entire upper body, and has built more muscle than every influencer's ab workout combined. But here's the catch. You have to leave your ego at the door. This is not the time to be benching for your imaginary NFL combine. When you keep your feet planted, your elbows tucked, your back tight, and the bar path controlled, the activation becomes unreal. Chest, shoulders, triceps, everything fires. If you master this lift, your chest grows, period. S tier without question. Same family, different flavor. The dumbbell bench press gives you all the benefits of the barbell, plus a deeper stretch at the bottom. That stretch is gold for growth. The stability requirement creates a crazy mind-muscle connection, and each side works independently, making it great for fixing imbalances. The only downside? The setup. If you've ever tried to bench heavy dumbbells alone, you know the ritual. You sit down, breathe, hype yourself up, swing the dumbbells onto your knees, kick back, pray to Zeus you don't dislocate something, and only then the set begins. Amazing exercise. Annoying entry. A tier every day of the week. If you want an upper chest that actually pops through a t-shirt, an incline bench is your new religion. This movement hits the clavicular fibers of the pecs, the part that makes your chest look round and full. People always skip incline because it's humbling. The weight is lighter, the angle feels awkward, your ego cries. But guess what? Your upper chest doesn't care about your ego, it cares about biomechanics. Incline bench gives you everything. Great load, great stretch, great tension. Perfect S tier. Same reasons as the barbell incline, but again, dumbbells bring both a blessing and a curse. The blessing? Huge stretch, natural movement. Left and right pecs are working independently. A pump so intense it feels illegal. The curse? Getting into position makes you question all your life choices. Still an A-tier powerhouse. If you're already learning something new here, hit that like button. It tells me to keep making videos that actually teach you how to train smarter, not just harder. This is where things get real. Dips are one of my personal favorites, and one of the absolute best chest builders on earth. Beginners can use assistants, bands, or slow eccentrics. Advanced lifters can add weight, but please, for the love of shoulders, do not use weighted backpacks unless you want to see your future chiropractor more than your friends. When you lean forward slightly and keep your elbows flared just a bit, dips turn into a chest-destroying masterpiece. That deep stretch at the bottom, that lockout squeeze, pure beautiful torture. S tier, no debate. Another S tier for one simple reason: you can't cheat physics. Push-ups force your whole body to work together. Chest, shoulders, triceps, and core. They scale with your ability. They're safe, they're effective, and they have more variations than protein powder flavors. Weighted vest? Elite. Weighted backpack? No. Unless you want to fold your spine like a lawn chair. Push-ups are timeless. They belong in every routine. Now we hit the danger zone. The bench chest fly looks beautiful in slow-motion Instagram edits, but your shoulders do not like this movement. The tension disappears in the middle, the stretch can be dangerous, and the risk of a pec strain skyrockets if ego gets involved even a little. Add the fact that there are 10 safer, more effective ways to target the chest, and this gets a very comfortable D tier ranking. Looks cool, feels risky, not worth it. Cable fly. Now this is how you fly. Cables give you constant tension. You can adjust the height to hit the upper, mid, and lower chest. You get better control, better stretch, and a better pump. When you pause slightly at the bottom of the fly, the tension is insane. This is the fly movement that actually builds mass. A tier, reliable and effective. The pec deck is cable fly's big brother. Same concept, but way more stable. You sit down, get locked in, set your chest proud, pull your elbows slightly together, and boom, pure chest tension from start to finish. And the pump, my gosh, the pump. You finish a set of pec deck and look like you borrowed someone else's chest. If you want safe, intense, consistent chest tension, this is your GOAT. S tier, no hesitation. Landmine press is interesting. It's not bad, not at all. It's just easy to mess up. A lot of people accidentally turn it into a shoulder exercise by pressing straight up instead of pressing forward. When done right, it's a great chest contraction. When done wrong, it's a front delt workout with a back-taxing finish. Great accessory. B tier. Good, but not elite. Standing cable press. This is the exercise equivalent of trying to draw a straight line on a roller coaster. You can do it, but why? The balance is weird, the tension is inconsistent, and even when you nail the technique, it's still just okay. There are better options in every category. B tier without apology. Chest press machine. Simple, stable, safe, effective. Machines sometimes get a bad reputation, but the chest press machine is a genius tool. It lets you zone in on the chest without worrying about stability or bar path. You can push to failure safely. You can do rest pause, drop sets, slow eccentrics, everything that builds muscle fast. S tier for beginners and advanced lifters. One of the most complete chest machines in the gym. This one hurts my soul. The plate press looks cool on TikTok, but mechanically, it's like pressing a giant dinner plate while pretending you're doing something useful. Awkward grip, awkward range, awkward tension, just plain awkward. There is no reason to waste energy on this unless you're training for a medieval shield pushing competition. D tier, and honestly, probably D- if that existed. The Smith machine gets clowned on unfairly. Is it perfect? No. Is it dangerous? Also no. It just has limitations. When used for chest work, the fixed path can lock you into angles that aren't ideal, but it also gives you insane stability and lets you push hard without needing a spotter. If you manipulate the bench angle correctly and set your feet right, the tension can actually be incredible. B tier because it's useful, but not elite. The dumbbell pullover. Some people swear this builds chest. Personally, I've never felt it. My lats feel something, my ego felt something, but my chest was like, bro, are we even doing anything? Add the weird ribcage stretch, the awkward setup, and the fact that Chris Bumstead doesn't touch this on chest day, and yeah, D tier. Mystery movement, low reward. Comment below if you agree or disagree with my ranking structure. I'll be glad to hear your opinion and experience. Red Bull won't give you wings, but the S tier back exercises I'm about to show you will. Have you ever noticed how everyone says they want a wide back, but when you actually look around the gym, you see the same thing over and over again? A whole army of dudes doing half-range pull-downs, ego deadlifts, and curls disguised as rows, then wondering why their back still looks like a frozen pancake. Listen, if your goal is to build a back so wide you struggle to walk through door frames, you need to stop guessing and start choosing movements that actually build muscle, not just make you feel productive. So today, we're ranking the best and worst back exercises from S-tier goats all the way down to the D-tier disasters. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what actually grows your back and what belongs in gym purgatory. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most controversial one, the almighty deadlift. The exercise every ego lifter worships like it's their favorite Marvel character. Look, the deadlift is an incredible strength movement. It builds your posterior chain, teaches you to brace, and makes you feel like a superhero picking up a meteor. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not a great back hypertrophy movement. Deadlifts work your legs, your glutes, your hips, your grip, your soul. Pretty much everything except giving your lats and mid-back consistent targeted tension. And for beginners, the injury risk is sky high. Rounding, jerking, yanking, twisting, the deadlift can turn into a horror movie faster than you think. Great strength lift. Meh muscle builder. C tier fits perfectly. Barbell rows are like the deadlift's slightly more responsible cousin. This is a good back builder. You can go heavy, you can overload, you target the lats, rhomboids, and traps, but it's still messy. When you're bent over, stabilizing with your hamstrings, glutes, core, lower back, and ankles, yes, ankles, your body becomes so focused on not collapsing that your back ends up as a supporting actor instead of the lead. It works, but it's hard to feel, hard to isolate, hard to keep form clean as the weight climbs. Solid? Yes. Spectacular? No. Comfortably B tier. Same family, same benefits, same limitations. The two-arm dumbbell row allows for a more natural path, but eventually, you're going to hit the "my gym only goes up to 40 kilogram dumbbells" wall. It's effective, but predictable. It builds muscle, but not at the level of the elite exercises coming later. Great option, reliable, still B tier. If you've been lifting long enough, you've definitely seen some giant bodybuilder doing T-bar rows with enough plates to sink a ship. This movement is iconic, it's powerful, but it's still a compound movement that involves your entire posterior chain. You're using legs, hips, stabilizers, everything. And just like the barbell row, the tension on the back isn't as isolated as it could be. Good? Absolutely. Top tier? Not even close. B tier it is. Now this is where the back building magic starts. Chest-supported rows eliminate 90% of the cheating that ruins traditional rows. No swinging, no leg drive, no momentum. No, I swear I'm hitting my lats delusion. You're locked in, supported, and forced to use your back with pure, clean tension from stretch to squeeze. The mind-muscle connection becomes unreal. Every rep actually counts. This is one of the most effective back hypertrophy movements on earth. S tier, and it deserves the spotlight. Next up, pull-downs in all their glorious forms. High grip, neutral grip, close grip, wide grip, single arm, dual arm, side to side, underhand, weird handle the gym bought from Amazon grip. Doesn't matter. Pull-downs are simply elite for lat growth. They bias the vertical pulling pattern perfectly. They give you tension where you need it. They allow for variation that targets different lat fibers. And they're beginner-friendly and advanced-friendly. Just one rule: never do them behind the neck. Unless your goal is a direct flight to Injury City. Every normal pull-down variation belongs in the S tier. Behind the back, that's a D- and a fast one. Now the king, the emperor, the apex predator of back training, pull-ups. There's a reason every calisthenics athlete on earth has a ridiculously wide back. Your body weight creates this perfect combination of stability, stretch, and contraction. Wide grip? Great, but not too wide or you turn it into a human clothesline. Neutral grip? Amazing. Chin-ups? Fantastic. Weighted pull-ups? Elite behavior. Just don't be the guy doing behind-the-neck pull-ups. That guy is nobody's hero. Regular pull-ups? S tier. Behind the neck? D- and a chiropractor subscription. This is a good exercise, but not a mass builder. Inverted rows are amazing for beginners, bodyweight athletes, and home workouts. But when it comes to progressive overload, you're gonna struggle. Adding weight is awkward. The angle is inconsistent. You hit a plateau fast. If this were a calisthenics-only video, it'd be S tier. But in a full hypertrophy gym ranking, C tier fits perfectly. Now we get to one of my personal favorites. Cable rows give you a deep lat stretch, a clean mid-range pull, a perfect squeeze, and a pump so intense you question your life choices. They're stable, easy to set up, beginner-friendly, advanced-friendly, and almost impossible to mess up. You can manipulate grip width, elbow path, angle, seat position, everything. This is a back-building monster, straight to S tier. If you're learning something new already, hit that like button. It tells me to keep making videos that actually help you grow, not just look intense for Instagram. Straight arm lat pull down, a sleeper exercise with huge potential if you do it right. This movement isolates the lats better than almost anything, but only when you master the form. Most people end up using their shoulders, arms, or ego instead of their actual back. It requires control, precision, and focus. For experienced lifters with a strong mind-muscle connection, it can easily be A tier. For the average lifter, it's a B tier. Great, but not essential. Now we're cooking. The one-arm dumbbell row delivers a huge stretch at the bottom, a powerful contraction at the top, independent side bias, and great overload potential. This is one of the best back builders for lifters of every level. The only limitation? Eventually, you'll max out the dumbbells in your gym and realize the heaviest one is only 50 kilograms and held together by hope. Still, phenomenal exercise, A tier. Meadows Row is named after the legend John Meadows, and rightfully so. This exercise hits your mid-back with tension that feels like a personal attack. The stretch is amazing, the contraction is clean, and the unilateral focus ensures both sides grow evenly. Only downside? It takes time. Each arm separately. Your lower back might cry a bit, but hypertrophy-wise, A-tier perfection. Ah yes, the Renegade Row. The exercise I only see people do when they're filming a TikTok, doing CrossFit, or trying to impress their crush. Look, as an upper body conditioner, sure, it's fine. But as a back exercise, absolutely not. It feels like you're doing a plank, a push-up, a twist, a row, a prayer all at the same time. Your lats get about 3% of the tension. Your core gets 97%. Your dignity gets none. For building a massive back, this is a straight-up D-tier movement. Most people think back training is all about lifting heavy and hoping for the best. But the truth is simpler. Pick the right movements. Build real mind-muscle connection. And stop wasting time on exercises that look hard but grow nothing. Your back doesn't care about your ego. It doesn't care about your deadlift PR. And it definitely doesn't care how many weird TikTok workouts you've tried. It cares about tension. It cares about angles. It cares about consistency. Master the S-tier exercises. Use the A and B tier movements smartly. Delete the C and D tier traps from your life. Do that, and your back won't just grow, it'll evolve. Comment below if you agree or disagree with my ranking structure. I'll be glad to hear your opinion and experience. Big shoulders don't come from luck or genetics. They come from the S-tier shoulder exercises I'm about to show you next. Have you ever noticed how everyone wants 3D shoulders, but most people train them like an afterthought? They grab a couple of dumbbells, do a few half-range laterals, maybe throw in a press, and then wonder why their shirts still sit flat and lifeless. But here's the truth. Shoulders aren't built by accident. They're built by understanding biomechanics, hitting each deltoid head strategically, and picking exercises that actually create tension, not just movement. So today, we're ranking the most popular shoulder exercises from best to worst using the classic tier list. S tier marks the GOAT section, or in other words, the best of the best. A tier staples, B tier solid options, C tier mid exercises, and D tier movements belong in the trash. We're starting with the reverse fly. On paper, this should be a rear delt machine, but in the real world, things get messy. Most people grab dumbbells that are way too heavy, and the first thing that disappears is the range of motion. Your arms don't fully extend, the path gets short and choppy, and suddenly the rear delts, the whole point to this exercise, clock out early. What's left is momentum, traps, and vibes. But here's the good news. When you lighten the weight, slow it down, and control the arc, this becomes a solid B-tier movement. It's reliable, it activates the rear delts well enough, and it's accessible for all training levels. Just don't expect it to be a mass monster. It's good, not great, and that's exactly why it sits in B tier. Next up is the dumbbell cheat lateral raise. And look, I get it. This movement feels good. Heavier dumbbells, and suddenly you feel like a savage throwing weight around. But here's the problem. When a little momentum turns into full CrossFit swing, your side delts lose tension faster than your ex lost interest. Yes, cheat reps have a place. At the end of a set, they can extend time under tension. But as a primary shoulder builder, nah. The mid delt is best trained with control and precision. This movement drifts too far away from both, which is why it's a C tier exercise. Use it as seasoning, not the main meal. The press out is like that exercise you see beginners doing and think, "Aw, that's cute." And honestly, it's not terrible. It lightly hits the front delts, gives beginners something they can feel, and teaches a little bit of control. But let's be real, the range of motion is tiny. The tension is minimal, and the front delts are already hammered by every pressing movement ever invented. It's not dangerous, it's not useless, it's just not effective enough to deserve higher praise. Comfortably C tier. Now we're stepping into greatness. If someone told me you can only keep one shoulder exercise for the rest of your life, I wouldn't even hesitate. I'd choose the barbell overhead press. This movement is pure old school strength. It hits all three heads of the delts, gives your triceps some love, and even involves your upper chest and core. But what makes it S tier isn't just muscle activation, it's progressive overload. You can load this movement heavily. You can track your progress. You can add reps, add weight, add intensity, and every tiny progression shows up on your physique. Push it strictly, keep your spine neutral, get that bar path clean, and this becomes the king of shoulder mass builders. S tier with zero debate. Right behind the barbell version comes its cousin, the seated dumbbell press. And look, some people prefer this over the barbell version. I honestly understand why. With dumbbells, you get independent shoulder control, natural movement paths, and a deeper range of motion. The stabilizers fire like crazy, and the mind-muscle connection feels incredible. There's only one downside. You'll eventually reach a point where getting heavy dumbbells into position becomes a full Olympic sport. But up until that point, this is one of the most complete shoulder builders in existence. Biomechanically beautiful, heavy, safe, mass-producing. It's another S-tier GOAT. Now let's talk about the Cuban press, the looks cool but hurts later movement. Yes, it involves rotation and pressing, but the problem is that internal rotation under load puts the shoulder in a compromised position. Not the good kind of compromised either, the here comes the rotator cuff pain kind. The shoulder activation here, mostly just from the press at the top. Everything in between is fluff, risky fluff. The benefit to risk ratio is all wrong, which is why the Cuban press lands in D tier without hesitation. Another resident of the danger zone, the upright row. Look, I'm not saying nobody on earth should ever do these, but if we're talking about exercises that build shoulders safely, upright rows simply aren't it. The glenohumeral joint hates this movement pattern. The rotator cuff hates the internal rotation. Your future self will hate you for doing them. Can you feel your shoulders during upright rows? Sure, but you can also feel your shoulders right before they get injured. It doesn't mean it's worth it. Straight into D tier. Can you build 3D shoulders with nothing but your body weight? Absolutely, if you're doing real handstand push-ups. Not the banana bend random wobbling for 2 seconds version. I'm talking wall-supported, full-range controlled reps that mimic a vertical press. When you master these, your shoulders transform. This is the calisthenics version of the overhead press, and in some ways, it's even better. The stability demand is insane. The range of motion is huge, and the tension is constant. Most people will never reach the strength level to max these out, which is exactly why they're S tier. The behind the neck press. Ah yes, the forbidden fruit of shoulder exercises. Some old school lifters swear by it. But biomechanics is biomechanics, and this position puts your shoulders in an awkward, restrictive angle that most people simply aren't built for. Is it pure danger like upright rows? No. Is it an elite shoulder developer like the overhead press? Also no. It's fine, but far from great. Comfortably C tier. Now we reach one of the most important shoulder building categories, lateral raises. Let's start with the dumbbell version, the classic. It deserves a strong A tier. The activation is great, the tension at the top is fantastic, and it's accessible to everyone. The only flaw? Zero tension at the bottom. And that's where the cable version becomes a monster. Leaning cable laterals give you constant tension. You don't lose the bottom third of the movement. You get a longer range of motion. You can manipulate angles. You can overload safely. If dumbbell laterals are a Toyota, leaning cable laterals are the Lamborghini. Both work. One is just built differently. That's why cables take S tier and dumbbells land in A tier. This exercise is the sleeper pick. The ring pike push-up is a wild combination of instability, vertical pressing, and shoulder isolation, all in one movement. The rings force your stabilizers into overdrive. Your core becomes part of the lift. Your shoulders take constant tension from start to finish. And unlike handstand push-ups, these are more accessible for most lifters. They're not quite on the level of pure overhead pressing, but they're an incredibly effective A-tier shoulder builder, especially for bodyweight focused lifters. Every time I see someone doing plate front raises, I die a little inside. Front delts already get hammered by presses. Hard, like brutally hard. You don't need another front delt isolation exercise, especially not one with a short range of motion, inconsistent tension, and a massive tendency for cheating. The risk to reward ratio is horrible. The pump is misleading. The gains are almost non-existent. It's firmly in D tier. Now this is how you target rear delts. The reverse pec deck locks you into a stable position, lets you isolate the rear delts with precision, and keeps tension throughout the entire range. There's no cheating, no swinging, just pure delicious rear delt tension. If you adjust the seat so your elbows align with your shoulders, the activation becomes unreal. A tier all day. The rope face pull is, without question, one of the most important movements in shoulder training. Not because it builds your side delts, but because it builds strong, healthy, dense rear delts and external rotators. These muscles keep your shoulders stable, protect you from injury, and give your physique that complete 3D look. Pro tip: use 2 ropes if your gym has them. It triples the range of motion and hits fibers you didn't even know existed. A perfect blend of safety, activation, and versatility. S tier. Last but definitely not least, the Z press. If you've never tried this, prepare to be humbled. Sitting on the floor with your legs extended, you have zero ability to cheat. There's no lower body drive, no back arching, no bracing through your legs. It's pure shoulder strength. Raw, unforgiving, and brutally effective. This is one of the best pressing variations for building stable, powerful deltoids. Another S-tier monster. Comment below if you agree or disagree with my ranking structure. I'll be glad to hear your opinion and experience. Big biceps aren't built with tricks or shortcuts. They're built with the S-tier biceps exercises I'm about to show you. Did you know your biceps only make up about a third of your arm size? Yet they're the reason every mirror check starts with a flex. Everyone's chasing that sleeve stretching peak, the kind that makes even a plain t-shirt look like armor. But here's the truth. Most people are doing the wrong movements. They swing through the reps, chase the pump, and wonder why their arms never grow past kinda decent. So today, we're ranking the most popular biceps exercises from best to worst using this tier list. S will be the GOAT section, the best of the best. And D tier will be the trash section. We'll use updated biomechanics, new hypertrophy research, and real gym floor experience to separate the mass builders from the wrist destroyers. Let's see which biceps moves actually build size, and which ones belong in the trash bin. We'll start with the standing dumbbell curl, the move everyone's done, but few actually master. The setup's simple, the motion feels natural, and it teaches you how to control real tension. When you do it right, elbows pinned, wrists supinating through the curl, you activate both the short and long heads of the biceps for balanced development. But here's the catch. Most lifters turn it into a shoulder swing. The negative phase gets rushed, and all that tension leaks out. When you slow it down and actually fight gravity, this exercise becomes one of the most fundamental builders in your arsenal. Still, it doesn't hit the deep stretch or constant tension that the top-tier exercises do. That's why it sits firmly in A tier. Reliable, timeless, and foundational, but not the absolute king. Now, the incline dumbbell curl. This one's a biomechanical masterpiece. Sitting back on an incline bench with your arms behind your body changes everything. It fully lengthens the biceps under load, and research keeps showing that muscles grow best when they're trained in this stretched position. Every rep hits differently. That deep pull you feel at the bottom? That's mechanical tension doing its job. You can't swing, you can't cheat, you can only grow. Keep your shoulders back, let the stretch bite, and move with control. It's a humbling lift. Light weights feel heavy fast, but the results are undeniable. This one's S tier without question. Full stretch, constant tension, and perfect alignment for growth. When people talk about sleeve-splitting curls, they're talking about this. Dumbbell hammer curls, though, these play a different role. They're not the biceps' best friend, but they're the reason your arms look thick and dense from every angle. The neutral grip shifts emphasis to the brachialis and the brachioradialis, the muscles beneath and around the biceps. That's what gives your arms width and density. The movement's great for building functional strength and forearm stability, but because the biceps aren't the prime mover, it ranks slightly lower. A must-have for balanced arms, but not for the pure peak chasers. That's a confident B tier. Now, the rope cable hammer curl. This is what happens when smart training meets great mechanics. By adding cables, you fix the main weakness of dumbbells, inconsistent tension. The cables keep your biceps and brachialis firing from start to finish, while the rope attachment gives your wrists natural movement freedom. It's smooth, controlled, and perfect for overload without pain. If the dumbbell version is strength training, this is sculpting. This one climbs up to A tier, efficient, joint-friendly, and brutally effective for both heads of the arm. The barbell curl, the classic ego lift that's earned its place in every gym on earth. But when done right, it's more than ego, it's power. Heavy barbell curls overload the biceps like no other isolation move. The key? Keep your torso still and elbows locked. The moment your hips start swinging, you're training your lower back, not your arms. Use an easy bar if you want your wrists to thank you later. It keeps them in a neutral, stress-free angle while maintaining the same overload. That combination of strength, simplicity, and scalability puts this firmly in A tier. Then there's the close grip easy bar curl, one of the most underrated tweaks you can make. By narrowing your grip, you shift the focus toward the long head of the biceps, giving that taller, fuller look everyone wants. It's easy to load, comfortable on the joints, and perfect for heavy, controlled reps. You'll feel the contraction hit differently, and that's the point. Small change, massive payoff. Another A-tier builder. Now we hit the reverse curl. Misunderstood, but important. The pronated grip moves emphasis from the biceps to the forearms and brachialis, which builds density and grip strength, but not that eye-catching front peak. Still, neglecting these muscles leads to imbalance and joint instability, so reverse curls earn their keep as accessory work. Just don't expect them to transform your biceps. C tier. Useful, but not essential. Then we have the Bayesian curl. Pure science in motion. When you stand slightly forward with the cable set behind you, your arm starts in a stretched position. That lengthened tension lights up the long head of the biceps and keeps it engaged through every inch of the lift. There's no easy zone. The muscle's under stress the entire time. This move's all about control and precision. The more disciplined your form, the bigger your payoff. Every lifter who's tried these knows. It feels different and it delivers different. That's why it's a clear S tier. Next up, the crucifix curl, the unsung hero of arm aesthetics. Cables from both sides create constant tension across the short head of the biceps, building that round, front-facing look. It's an isolation move done with intensity. No swinging, no leaning, just pure control. The pump is almost uncomfortable when you hit it right. It's clean, stable, and joint safe, earning it a top A-tier spot. And then there's the preacher curl, a movement so iconic it practically defines arm isolation. The bench locks your shoulders in place, forcing the biceps to do every ounce of work. That deep stretch at the bottom, followed by a full contraction at the top, is mechanical tension perfection. The dumbbell version is the gold standard. You can train each arm individually, fix imbalances, and connect deeply with the muscle. That's pure S tier. The Easy Bar and machine versions don't fall far behind, safer for volume and easier to overload, so they stay in high A tier. Bodyweight deserves its credit too. The Australian chin-up is an excellent starting point for people training with minimal gear. It delivers a surprising pump, reinforces elbow stability, and teaches body control. But once you can crank out 20 perfect reps, the progressive overload stops. It shifts from hypertrophy to endurance. Great for beginners, great for variety. B tier for sure. Now, the chin-up itself, the ultimate compound arm builder. With an underhand grip, you're not just training your back. Your biceps are doing a ton of the work, especially in the bottom half of the rep. Add weight, control the descent, and this becomes one of the most powerful overall upper body developers out there. It's not isolation, but it's one of the most functional biceps builders in existence. Strong A tier. And then there's the biceps push-up, the viral hack that promises miracles. Here's the truth. It barely trains your biceps. The pressing motion still favors your chest and triceps, leaving your biceps as passive stabilizers. It's awkward, inefficient, and potentially hard on the shoulders. It might look unique, but it won't build size. Straight to D tier. Back to the opposite end, the straight bar cable curl. This is biomechanics done right. The resistance stays constant across the entire range, unlike free weights where gravity robs you halfway up. You can go heavy, light, slow, or fast. It all hits perfectly. It's joint-friendly, versatile, and brutally effective for both heads of the biceps. That's why it lives permanently in S tier. You'll feel this one deep in the muscle from the first rep to the last. If this breakdown's helping you rethink your arm training, hit that like button. It tells me to keep ranking every muscle group and helps the channel grow. Let's talk about the Zottman curl, the ultimate 2-for-1. You curl up supinated to target the biceps, then rotate and lower pronated to smash the forearms. It builds strength, grip, and balanced arms. The only downside? During the lowering phase, biceps tension drops slightly, so it's not your main hypertrophy tool. Still, it's a strong B-tier finisher, functional and efficient. The waiter curl, though, looks better on paper than it feels in practice. Sure, it targets the short head, but the limited range and awkward setup make it hard to load properly. You'll get a pump, but it fades as fast as it comes. Keep it for variety days or burnout sets, but it's not a core movement. Solid C tier. The spider curl, the purest isolation exercise in the book. Lying chest down removes every possible cheat. The biceps carry the full load through the entire range, keeping tension constant from bottom to top. You feel every fiber working. Lightweight, strict form, maximum intensity. This is one of those movements that humbles you and rewards you at the same time. It's pure S tier, and it deserves the final word. Comment below if you agree or disagree with my ranking structure. I'll be glad to hear your opinion and experience. If your arms still look small, it's not your biceps, it's your triceps. And the S tier exercises coming up fix that. Did you know your triceps make up roughly 70% of your arm size? That's right. The muscle everyone treats like an accessory is literally the difference between looking average and looking jacked. Everyone's chasing peak biceps, but real arm mass lives in the back of your arm. And yet, most people still butcher their biceps training. They pick the wrong exercises, rush through half reps, and then wonder why their shirts still fit the same. So today, we're ranking the most popular triceps exercises, from the ones that actually build slabs of muscle to the ones that are just elbow pain with extra steps. Same classic tier list, S to D, but this time, we're breaking it down with updated biomechanics, new research, and real gym floor experience. Let's see which triceps moves actually build mass and which ones belong in the trash bin. We'll start strong with the skull crusher, the old school mass builder everyone's either afraid of or obsessed with. This exercise hits all three triceps heads, especially the long head. The secret? Lower the bar behind your head, not to your forehead. That change gives you a deeper stretch and better muscle activation. But here's why it lands in A tier. It's one of the best builders out there when done perfectly. But if your form slips, your elbows will revolt. The stretch is gold for growth, but the risk is high if you ego lift. Control the negative, feel that tension, and this becomes your arm size cheat code. It's not quite S tier because of that injury risk, but done right, it's a masterpiece. Pro tip: throw in an incline bench variation sometimes. It changes the angle and lights up the long head like a Christmas tree. Next up, the dumbbell overhead extension, the skull crusher's cousin. It looks simple, but here's the deal. The tension is solid and the stretch is fantastic, but it puts your elbows in a pretty unforgiving position if you're not built for it. We're ranking it B tier, and here's why. Great activation, yes, but too much pressure on the joints. It's a solid move in theory, but there are safer ways to get the same results. Think of it as a good, not great triceps option. Use it when you want variation. Now the real king, the cable overhead extension. If you've ever wondered what exercise gives your triceps that long, full look, this is it. Training the long head in a fully stretched position creates the most growth stimulus possible, and cables give you constant tension through the whole range. This one's S tier, no question. Why? Because it nails biomechanics perfectly. You get the stretch, the squeeze, and zero joint pain. It's like skull crushers without the elbow hangover. Lean forward a bit, keep your elbows locked, and separate the rope at the bottom like you're trying to split it in half. That's where the magic happens. Comment below, are you team cable or team dumbbell? Let's see which camp wins. Now let's talk about the closed grip bench press. Every lifter thinks this is the holy grail for triceps, and they're half right. It's powerful, it builds pressing strength, and it's great for overall size, but not pure isolation. Here's why it's B tier. Yes, it hammers the triceps, but it also recruits a ton of chest and shoulder. If your goal is to build arms, this is a secondary move, not the main event. Use it for compound strength, not detailing. Still, it's a great tool in your arsenal. Every big bencher has strong triceps. This is how they got there. Now the dips. The classic ego move. Done right, it's one of the most effective triceps builders in existence. Done wrong, it's a fast track to shoulder surgery. We're calling it B tier, and here's why. Dips train your triceps through a big range and let you overload easily, but they're unforgiving on the joints if your form's off. Keep your torso upright, elbows tucked, and move under control. If you start leaning forward, you've just turned it into a chest workout. It's a great strength builder, but not the safest isolation tool. Pro tip: try pause dips. 1 second hold at the bottom. It's humbling, but your triceps will thank you. Next, the diamond push-up. Don't sleep on this one. For a bodyweight move, it slaps. It's an excellent control and pump builder, especially for home workouts or burnout sets. We're ranking it B tier because it's accessible, joint-friendly, and great for beginners, but it tops out fast. Once you're strong enough to rep 30 of these, you've outgrown them. Still, they're worth keeping in the mix for active recovery or those no gym days. Then we've got the machine triceps press, the smooth criminal of the triceps world. The movement path is stable, the tension is constant, and you can push to failure safely. It's A tier, and here's why. Biomechanically efficient, easy on the joints, and great for overload. Beginners learn elbow positioning fast, and advanced lifters can hammer volume without worrying about form breakdown. It's not S tier because machines don't allow as much natural movement, but it's a top-tier choice for safely frying your triceps at the end of a push day. Now we've got bench dips, and I'll be honest, these are the exercise equivalent of clickbait. They look harmless, feel easy, and give you a good short-term pump, but the risk-to-reward ratio is awful. Your arms are forced behind your body, jamming your shoulders into an unnatural position that screams rotator cuff nightmare. That's why this one's sitting at D tier. Sure, your triceps will burn, but so will your joints. There are just too many better options to justify the risk. If you're doing these in your home workouts, stop. Your elbows will send you hate mail later. Speaking of bad angles, let's talk about line crossover extensions, one of those flashy TikTok exercises that looks cooler than it feels. On paper, it seems like a creative twist on extensions. In reality, it's awkward, unstable, and the tension disappears halfway through. We're throwing this straight into D tier, and here's why. The tension profile is terrible, the setup is clunky, and the payoff isn't worth the effort. If you want an arm pump that actually builds muscle, there are a dozen better choices waiting for you in this video. This one, straight up gym floor folklore. Now, we're back at the top with an absolute staple, the triceps pushdown. Rope, V-bar, straight bar, it doesn't matter. This movement is the bread and butter of every great arm routine. Why? It hits both the long and lateral heads in perfect alignment with your elbow joint, meaning you get great activation with minimal joint stress. You can easily manipulate the angles, attachments, and tempos to keep growing for years without ever dropping it from your plan. That's why it's solid S tier. Biomechanically sound, endlessly versatile, and completely idiot-proof. The rope version gives the best range and squeeze. The V-bar lets you go heavy and stable. You'll never outgrow pushdowns, and that's what makes them elite. And hey, if you're finding this breakdown helpful, hit the like button. It helps the channel reach more lifters who are tired of wasting time on garbage movements. Next up, the dumbbell kickback. Let's be real, this one's more for the mirror than the muscle. You only get serious tension at the very top of the rep, and the second that dumbbell drops a few degrees, your triceps clock out. We're ranking it C tier, and here's why. It's decent for mind-muscle connection, but not for mass. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, it just doesn't give you enough time under tension where it counts. Use it as a finisher if you want that pump selfie moment, but don't expect serious gains. Now, the glow-up version, the cable kickback. Same idea, but with one key difference: constant tension. Unlike dumbbells, the cable never lets the muscle rest. That's why it's jumping up to S tier. The resistance curve actually matches your strength curve, meaning your triceps are working hard from start to finish. Keep your elbow frozen in place, move slowly, and drive your pinky up at the end. You'll feel that deep, controlled burn that makes you question your life choices, in a good way. It's the perfect finisher for shaping that horseshoe look. Now onto a move not enough people even know about, the crossbody cable extension. This is one of those if you know exercises that hits the long head perfectly and helps fix imbalances between arms. We're ranking it A tier, and here's why. Biomechanically, it puts your arm in a slightly adducted position, emphasizing the long head stretch and contraction. Translation: more balanced, defined triceps. Keep your elbow tucked tight and pull slowly. Control is everything here. It's not an ego lift, it's a sculptor's tool. Speaking of sculpting, let's talk about the elevated bench cable extension. This is the secret weapon, the move most lifters haven't tried but absolutely should. It's basically the marriage of skull crushers and cables. Deep stretch from one, perfect tension from the other. This lands in S-tier GOAT territory, and here's why. It trains the triceps through both lengthened and contracted phases without ever dropping tension. It feels awkward the first time you set it up, but once you find the angle, it's like you unlocked a cheat code. Every rep floods your arms with constant pressure, and the pump feels like your skin is shrinking. This exercise alone could replace half the triceps machines in your gym. The triceps extension machine. You know the one collecting dust in the corner of every gym? Yeah, that one. We're ranking it C tier, and here's why. While the idea is fine, the fixed path often forces your elbows into unnatural movement. It's not terrible, it's just not optimal. Machines are great for stability, but this one limits your natural elbow tracking, which reduces long head activation. Use it if you're rehabbing, fatigued, or want a stable finisher at the end of a brutal push day, but don't rely on it for serious mass. Here's the truth. You don't need 20 fancy triceps exercises to grow your arms. You need the right ones done with intent. The S and A tiers, those are your money makers. They give you stretch, tension, and joint safety, the perfect recipe for growth. The B tiers build your strength base. The C and D tiers, they're the distractions that keep most lifters stuck in pump but no progress purgatory. Comment below if you agree or disagree with my ranking structure. I'll be glad to hear your opinion and experience. Big traps change your entire physique. The S tier exercises coming up are how you build them. Everyone wants big traps, but nobody wants to train traps correctly. People think traps are just those shrug muscles, or something you accidentally grow while deadlifting, or a muscle group that only powerlifters care about. But here's the truth. Well-developed traps completely change your upper body. They make you look powerful. They make your shoulders look broader. They make your neck look thicker. They add that 3D silhouette that makes a t-shirt fit like it was custom tailored. The problem? Most lifters have no idea which trap exercises actually build size, and which ones are just social media exercises designed to look cool while doing nothing. Today, we're fixing that. We're ranking the most common trap exercises from S-tier GOATs all the way down to D-tier why would you do that movements. Let's build traps that make you look like you wrestle gorillas recreationally. Deadlift. Let's start with the most misunderstood trap exercise in the fitness world. Every guy who deadlifts twice says, "Bro, deadlifts are all you need for traps." No, they're not. Yes, your traps are active during a deadlift, but they're acting as stabilizers, not primary movers. They contract isometrically to hold the bar. They keep your spine stable. They keep your shoulders from unhinging like cheap IKEA hinges. But do they get the full range of motion? No. Deep stretch? No. Hard contraction? Also no. Deadlifts are a great full body strength builder, but for trap size, B tier is exactly where they belong. Face pull. Face pulls are incredible for posture, rear delts, upper traps, and shoulder health. But the common version, the one most people do, actually underloads the traps. When the elbows flare too high, or the rope pulls too far apart, or momentum takes over, the movement becomes a shoulder mobility drill instead of a trap builder. Face pulls can be A tier if you use your upgraded version later, but the standard version, B tier. Good, not great. Behind the back shrug. This exercise looks cool until you actually do it. People think that moving the bar behind you will hit the lower traps or inner traps, or some mysterious region only bodybuilding forums talk about. Nope. Behind the back shrugs shorten your range of motion, force your shoulders into internal rotation, reduce upper trap activation, increase wrist strain, and make you shrug more with your ego than your traps. They do hit the traps, but not nearly as well as the A and S tier exercises later. So it's B tier. Useful but flawed. Overhead shrug. This exercise looks athletic. It looks explosive. It looks like something an Olympic lifter would do before getting fired by their coach. But overhead shrugs load the traps in a shortened, awkward position, with the shoulder joint in maximum instability. You're using poor leverage, minimal load, and a terrible angle, all for a movement that gives your traps the same stimulation as carrying grocery bags. D tier. Just do literally any other shrug variation. Real quick, if you're learning something new already, hit the like button if you want to support my channel. And if you have the time, drop a comment. Upright row. One of the most famous trap exercises, and one of the most overrated. Internally rotate the shoulder, jam the humerus into the shoulder capsule, cause impingement, strain the wrists, and barely hit the traps with full tension. They can work, but the risk-to-reward ratio is absolutely trash. You want big traps, not messed up shoulders. D tier. Rolling shrugs. Every gym has that one guy doing rolling shrugs. The movement looks like he's trying to scratch an itch on his lower back with his shoulder blades while summoning a demon. Rolling shrugs remove tension, ruin range of motion, load the shoulders incorrectly, increase injury risk, and waste your time. Shrugs should be straight up and straight down with consistency, not whatever this is. Straight to D tier. Behind the neck exercises. This includes behind the neck lat pull downs, behind the neck pull-ups, behind the neck barbell presses. These movements are mechanically unsafe, shoulder destroying, neck stressing, trap ineffective. All pain, no gain. D tier. Forever. Hex bar shrug. This is the king of trap exercises. The hex bar shrug gives you perfect biomechanics, perfect arm position, perfect shoulder alignment, perfect path of motion, perfect overload potential. You stand in the center. The load is aligned with your body. Your shoulders aren't pulled forward. Your spine stays neutral. And you can go heavy, safely. Hex bar shrugs hit the traps with clean stretch, clean contraction, zero joint stress, maximum overload. This is the closest thing to a perfect trap movement. S tier. The GOAT. Regular barbell shrug. The classic. Barbell shrugs have built more big traps than any other exercise in history, but only when done correctly. Most people go too heavy, shorten their range, swing their torso, turn it into a lower back exercise. Clean barbell shrugs, slow, controlled, deep stretch, big squeeze are incredible. A tier. Dumbbell shrug. I call this the equalizer. Dumbbells let you move naturally, keep shoulders neutral, adjust your elbow path, avoid awkward rotation, use a huge range of motion, overload safely. These are easier on the joints than barbell shrugs and feel more natural for most lifters. A tier, staple movement. T-bar row. This one surprises people, but rows are for back. Correct. But the trap activation on heavy T-bar rows is insane. When your torso is stable and the weight is heavy, your upper traps stabilize, retract, elevate, and contract hard through the movement. They're not the prime mover, but they're heavily involved. Great movement for trap thickness. A tier. Farmer's walk. Farmer's walks are some of the best functional trap builders. Carrying heavy loads forces your traps to stay engaged the entire time, not just squeezing, but stabilizing, resisting downward load, and keeping you upright. It's constant tension for the entire set. You won't get the same contraction as shrugs, but the time under tension is unmatched. A tier. Face pull improved version. Remember when the regular version was B tier? This is the upgrade. Your improved version, where the elbows come slightly lower, the rear delts take lead, the traps engage in a clean retraction, the cable path stays smooth. This turns the face pull from a posture drill into a legit trap builder. Done right, it hits the upper traps beautifully. A tier. Incline Y raise. Great for shoulder health, upper back stability, rotator cuff training. But for trap growth, very limited. The movement is light, technical, and more rehab focused than hypertrophy focused. Good warm-up, good accessory, not a main trap builder. C tier. Incline dumbbell shrug. This variation shortens the movement. When your chest is against a bench, your elbows tuck, your shoulder path changes, you lose range of motion. It does target the mid-traps nicely, but it's too limited to be A tier. Still a good accessory. B tier. Cable row. Cable rows are not a primary trap exercise, but they do engage the traps very well as stabilizers and retractors. With slow reps, controlled squeezes, proper scap retraction, you can get solid trap activation. But there's still a back exercise first, trap exercise second. B tier is the perfect spot. Traps aren't complicated. They're not mysterious. They don't require 15 variations or circus tricks or dangerous behind-the-neck nonsense. They grow from consistent overload, safe mechanics, deep stretches, hard contractions, and choosing the right movements. The S tier and A tier exercises build traps that make your entire frame look powerful. The B tier exercises fill in the gaps. The C tier movements are optional, and the D tier exercises leave those in the past. If you train traps with intention, with the right angle, and with real effort, you won't just build traps, you'll change your entire silhouette. Comment below if you agree or disagree with my ranking structure. I'll be glad to hear your opinion and experience. If your grip is weak and your forearms look flat, the S tier exercises coming up are the fix. Let's be honest for a second. Everyone says they want bigger arms, but what they really want is bigger forearms. Because forearms are the difference between do you lift and bro, what do you lift? Huge forearms scream strength. They make your whole physique look complete. And they're one of the first things people notice, whether they admit it or not. But here's the problem. Most people don't train their forearms. Or worse, they train them with the wrong exercises. So today, we're ranking the most popular forearm movements from GOAT status all the way down to exercises that belong in the "why was this invented" category. Let's build forearms that actually pop. The farmer's walk is like that friend who helps, but never actually does the job you asked for. Yes, it hits your forearms, but it also hits your quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves, traps, lats, abs, biceps, and triceps. The whole human anatomy chart. And the problem with that? The forearms don't get the spotlight. To make this exercise forearm effective, you need to go heavy, really heavy. And that's where injury risk creeps in. Lean a little to one side, round a bit, step weird once, and your lower back files a complaint. Great for conditioning, great for full body strength, decent for forearms, but not elite. That's why it sits safely in the B tier. Now this is where the magic starts. Reverse grip barbell curls hammer the brachioradialis, the thick, meaty muscle on the top of your forearm that makes your arms look bigger instantly. And because you're using a barbell, you get a heavy load, a stable setup, a clean movement path, and serious tension. everything your forearms love. This exercise doesn't just work, it transforms forearms. Straight into the S tier. Easy bar reverse curl. Same benefits as the barbell version, but with one bonus: comfort. The Easy Bar reduces wrist strain and lets you pull heavier with better form. And when form improves, activation improves. And when activation improves, gains improve. Simple math. Another S-tier movement, no hesitation: dumbbell hammer curl. Hammer curls are one of the best forearm builders you can do, but they also hit the biceps pretty hard. And that's the only reason this exercise doesn't hit S-tier. When performed right, one arm at a time, focusing on mind-muscle connection, your forearms get a massive stimulus. But because the biceps jump in like an excited third wheel, the movement isn't a pure forearm isolation exercise. Still amazing. A tier all day. If you want to turn these first 3 exercises into absolute monsters, lean against a wall, removes cheating. Use resistance bands, adds constant tension. When I started doing these 2 things, my forearms genuinely exploded. Now let's keep going. Cable reverse curl. Cables make everything better. The constant tension from start to finish means your forearms never get to relax. No momentum, no cheating, no dead spots. Just pure nasty forearm activation. This belongs in the S tier right next to its brothers. Dumbbell wrist twist. Ah yes, the dumbbell wrist twist. The exercise that feels like it should work, but doesn't. Not enough tension. Not enough resistance, not enough weight, not enough anything really. You could twist dumbbells all day. The only thing growing is confusion. D tier, and honestly, it's lucky it didn't get an F. Reverse grip preacher curl. This one triggers debates. Yes, it's a curl. Yes, it's reverse grip. Yes, it should hit forearms. But preacher curls change your elbow angle, your palm angle, and your shoulder position in a way that actually makes gripping harder. And when grip gets unstable, forearm activation drops. It's not bad, it's just not elite. That's why it sits in B tier. If you're learning something new already, drop a quick like and comment. This will show me that you value my hard work. Behind the back wrist curl. This exercise is awkward. The range of motion is tiny. The setup is weird. And if you've got big glutes, good luck even getting into position. Sure, you can load it, but loading a bad angle just makes a bad angle heavier. C tier. Not the worst, but definitely not the best. Kettlebell flips are fun, spicy, and surprisingly effective when done correctly. The gripping motion forces you to squeeze hard, which is amazing for forearm activation. But here's the catch. A lot of people feel wrist pain from the impact. If you stop the flip just before the kettlebell lands sideways, you get great tension without smashing your joints. Good, but not elite. B tier. Wrist roller. If you've never done this exercise, prepare to meet God. The wrist roller creates constant tension in both forearm flexors and extensors. There's no momentum, no shortcuts, no cheating. Just pain, fire, and growth. Do it slowly, controlled, and with your elbows supported, and watch your forearms explode. This is one of the greatest forearm builders ever created. S tier without question. Grip trainer or gripper. Everyone has tried a gripper at least once, usually in the car or at their desk or during a boring Zoom call. And yes, they work. Kind of. The squeeze is great, but the negative has almost no resistance. So you're really training a small section of the forearm instead of the whole thing. Fun tool, good activation, limited benefits. That's why it lands in B tier. Rope climbing. This one is criminally underrated. If you limit your legs and rely only on your arms, rope climbing absolutely sets your forearms on fire. The only reason it's not A tier or S tier is because it's technique heavy, not easily progressed, not accessible to everyone. Still great, still effective, still B tier. Dead hang. This is one of the best functional forearm builders on earth. Dead hangs improve grip, endurance, stability, and overall forearm size, especially when you hang for long sets, use a thick bar, or wrap towels around the bar. It also decompresses the spine, which is a cheat code for feeling amazing afterward. Easily A tier. Finger push-ups. Why would anyone do this? To build finger strength? To impress their friends? To do a Dragon Ball Z move in real life? This exercise barely hits your forearms, puts dangerous pressure on finger joints, and has almost no hypertrophy benefit. Unless your goal is to punch through a cement wall, skip this. D tier. Possibly D-. Rock climbing. Not just an exercise, it's a sport. Rock climbing builds forearms like crazy because it forces you to grip, pull, brace, and stabilize over and over. It's fun. It's challenging. It's highly effective. Just don't climb random boulders on the street like a GTA NPC. Go to an actual climbing gym. A tier. Zottman curl. This is the jack of all trades, master of none movement. It tries to work biceps and forearms and ends up being mediocre for both. The tension on your forearms disappears as soon as you rotate at the top. It's not useless, but it's not great. C tier makes perfect sense. Dumbbell wrist curl. Now we're hitting the science-backed kings. Wrist curls target the forearm flexors directly. When done strictly, controlled, and over a bench, the burn is unreal. This is one of the simplest, cleanest, most effective ways to build thick forearms fast. S tier. Bench-braced wrist extension. If wrist curls build the underside of your forearms, wrist extensions build the top. And if you want that balanced, well-rounded, my forearms look like braided steel cables look, you need both. This exercise isolates the extensors perfectly, something almost no other movement does well. Another S-tier monster. Your forearms aren't built through random movements. They're built through tension, progression, consistency, and choosing the right exercises. Use the S-tier movements as your foundation. Mix in the A and B tier for variety, and send the C and D tier disasters into retirement. If you do that, you won't just build bigger forearms. You'll build stronger arms, a stronger grip, and a physique that looks powerful from every angle. Comment below if you agree or disagree with my ranking structure. I'll be glad to hear your opinion and experience. If you want abs that actually show, the S-tier exercises coming up matter more than anything else. Have you ever noticed how everyone says they want abs, but their entire ab training strategy is just saving TikToks titled 5-minute fat-melting ab burner? Or doing random crunches on a mat like they're hoping the six-pack fairy shows up to sprinkle magic dust on their core? Listen, abs are not built through chaos. Abs are not built through random 30-day routines. Abs are not built through doing enough bicycle crunches to qualify for the Tour de France. Abs are built the same way every other muscle is built: tension, progression, and exercises that actually create growth. So today, I'm ranking the most popular ab exercises from S-tier goats to D-tier disasters. Want abs that actually show? This is the video you need. Let's get into it. HIIT style ab workouts. Everywhere you look online, you see these flashy HIIT ab routines. Guys jumping around like jellyfish, girls doing mountain climbers like the floor is on fire, and everyone sweating like crazy thinking they're building abs. Look, HIIT is fine for cardio. HIIT is fine for burning some calories. HIIT is fine if you enjoy feeling like a fish flopping out of water. But to build abs, not a chance. Abs respond to tension, not chaos, not exhaustion, not let's do 25 exercises in 30 seconds for no reason. HIIT ab routines are fun, but they belong in the D tier for muscle building. Your abs deserve better than TikTok cardio. Now this is a classic. Sit-ups are the OG core exercise, and honestly, they're great for most people. You get a solid stretch on the rectus abdominis. You can add weight for progressive overload. You can do them anywhere. They target the upper and lower abs with decent intensity. The issue? Hips. If your hip flexors are tight, and let's be honest, 90% of us sit all day, sit-ups turn into a hip workout disguised as ab training. Your lower back ends up doing the work your abs should be doing, and that's when injuries sneak in. Fantastic movement when mobility is decent. B tier because the risk goes up when your flexibility goes down. Once you master the regular sit-up, this is the next evolutionary step. Elevated sit-ups increase your range of motion, increase the stretch, and increase the tension. You can build serious core muscle with these, especially weighted versions. The only knock? As the range increases, so does potential strain on the spine if form slips even a little. Still, for growth, this thing slaps. A tier, no question. Now we enter Hollywood fitness territory. The hanging sit-up looks amazing in movies. It's athletic, it's dramatic, It's the type of movement directors put in training montages when they want the hero to look shredded. But in real life, this exercise is awkward, inconsistent, uncomfortable, and way riskier than it needs to be. You could slip, you could strain your back, you could overflex your spine while dangling upside down like a confused Spider-Man. It's not terrible, but there are 10 better alternatives. C tier. Crunches are slept on. If you keep tension constant, meaning you never fully rest at the bottom, this exercise hits the upper abs extremely well. You won't get complete abdominal development with them, but what they do really well. Simple, reliable, B tier. Bicycle crunch. This one hits the whole core, upper abs, lower abs, and obliques, all at the same time. Sounds amazing, right? Yes and no. The tension is good, but the problem is simple. No progressive overload. You can't add weight, you can't increase tension, you can only increase speed. And if that's your progression method, congratulations, you're training for a cardio marathon, not a six-pack. Great overall activation, limited long-term growth, solid B tier. Now we get into the good stuff. Machine crunches are one of the best ab exercises ever created, period. You get perfect stability, perfect stretch, perfect tension, easy progressive overload, no need to worry about the form breaking down. If you want visible abs, you must add load at some point. And machine crunches make that stupidly easy. S tier, one of the true goats. Another absolute monster. Cable crunches give you the same benefits as machine crunches, but with even more flexibility in angle and setup. You can bias the upper abs, you can bias the lower abs, you can manipulate posture, you can micro-adjust the load, and you get a beautiful stretch and contraction. The only mistake beginners make? Moving the hands instead of the rib cage. If you do this with proper spinal flexion, the abs light up like a Christmas tree. S tier without hesitation. If you're learning something new already, do me a favor. Drop a quick comment and give this video a like. Now we shift gears into the hanging family. The hanging knee raise is amazing for hitting the lower abs, but only when it's done with control. Most people, they swing around like those inflatable tube men outside car dealerships. If your entire lower body is having a rave in midair, the only muscle working is embarrassment. But when you don't swing, lift only the knees, curl the pelvis, focus on ab contraction, this exercise becomes elite. A tier, strict form only, hanging leg raise. Same category, but leveled up. This is one of the most complete ab exercises in existence. You get full lower ab activation, full upper ab activation, strong oblique involvement, grip strength, stability training, and a huge range of motion. This is peak ab training. One rule, if you're swinging, you're not doing leg raises, you're doing controlled chaos. Strict hanging leg raises equals S tier. Toe to bar, the boss fight of the hanging category. People think you need gymnastics level flexibility to do this, but the truth is, you don't need to be superhuman. You just need decent technique, good mind-muscle connection, and enough control not to turn it into CrossFit kipping madness. Toe to bar gives everything. Insane stretch, insane contraction, total core involvement, massive lower ab recruitment, and it looks badass. This is the GOAT of ab movements for people who can control their body weight. Straight to S tier. Not ready for hanging variations? No problem. The Roman chair removes the grip limitation, removes the swing, and removes the "I'm hanging like a limp noodle" problem. You get stability and tension, which makes it one of the best ab exercises for beginners and intermediates. It's slightly less advanced than the hanging variations, which is why it sits in the A tier. Still fantastic. Ah yes, the plank. Beginners hear plank and instantly think, oh no, this one hurts. Advanced lifters hear plank and instantly think, oh, this one's useless. And both groups are right. The plank is great for beginners because it builds core stability. But once you get past the beginner stage, the plank stops doing much. The world record is over 9 hours, and I promise nobody got a six-pack from that. Good for stability, not great for growth. C tier. If you've ever done dumbbell side bends, I have one question. Why? This exercise is a trap disguised as oblique training. It puts pressure on your lower back. It doesn't isolate your obliques well. It encourages uneven loading on the spine. And the activation is basically your body screaming, "What are we even doing right now?" This is one of the worst ab exercises ever invented. D tier. Send it to the shadow realm. Now this is how you train obliques. The cable twist gives you constant tension, clean rotational force, the ability to load progressively, and full oblique activation. It's safe, it's effective, it's athletic, it actually builds definition. Cable twists deserve every bit of their S tier ranking. Now let's get real for a second. Training builds abs. Nutrition reveals them. You can do all the S tier exercises. You can do them perfectly. You can train abs 3 times per week. You can do hanging leg raises until your soul leaves your body. But if your nutrition is a disaster, your abs will stay hidden under a smooth protective layer of denial. If you want visible abs, men typically need 8 to 12% body fat. Women typically need 14 to 18% body fat. That requires a consistent balanced diet, lean proteins, healthy fats, complex carbs, proper hydration, and fewer late-night "I deserve this" Uber Eats orders. Abs are built in the gym, but if you ignore your nutrition, they'll never make an appearance. Comment below if you agree or disagree with my ranking structure. I'll be glad to hear your opinion and experience. If you want legs that actually look trained, the S-tier quad exercises coming up are mandatory. You ever notice how nobody skips chest day, but half the gym skips leg day like it's optional cardio? Yeah, that's why we've got armies of guys walking around built like Doritos. All upper body, zero foundation. Trust me, I've been there too, hiding behind sweatpants, pretending it's bulking season. But here's the truth. If your quads aren't growing, it's not genetics. It's because you're doing the wrong movements. So today, we're ranking the most popular quad exercises from best to worst, breaking down which ones actually build mass and which ones are just pain and wasted effort. S tier will be the GOAT section, the real size builders. D tier, those are the ones you should delete from your workout plan immediately. We're using biomechanics, real hypertrophy data, and gym floor experience to separate the true growth movers from the time wasters. Let's see which exercises actually build your legs and which ones keep you in chicken leg purgatory. We'll start with the king of all leg moves, the barbell back squat. There are 2 main ways people load it, the high bar and the low bar position. When the bar sits high on your traps, your torso stays upright and the quads take the spotlight. When it sits a bit lower on your rear delts, you lean forward, shifting the load toward your glutes and hamstrings. Since we're here for quad development, the high bar version earns an S tier ranking. It nails the biomechanics from maximum knee flexion and full range tension. The low bar variation still builds strength and mass, but it spreads the load across more muscles, so it lands in A tier. Both are powerful, but if you want quads that actually pop, high bar is your weapon. Next up, the barbell front squat, a move that instantly tells you who trains legs and who avoids them. Because the bar sits in front of your shoulders, your torso stays even more upright, forcing your quads to handle the brunt of the work. The catch? The setup and balance are brutal for beginners. Most people struggle with wrist mobility or finding a comfortable grip. Whether it's the clean grip, crossed arm, or strap method, it's biomechanically superior for quad bias, but harder to master. That's why it lands in A tier. Incredible when done right, but not everyone can pull it off. Now let's talk hack squats, a movement that's quietly taken over modern leg days. It isolates your quads beautifully while removing the need for stabilization. You can just focus on the burn. Recent EMG data shows hack squats achieve nearly identical quad activation to traditional barbell squats. If you set your feet slightly lower on the platform, it forces deeper knee flexion and lights your quads on fire. Less spinal stress, constant tension, and safe overload potential. That's a clean S tier. Believe it or not, the Smith machine squat deserves some respect too. It gets mocked as the ego squat machine, but when you use it right, it's fantastic for pure hypertrophy. Because the bar path is fixed, you can shift your feet slightly forward to drive more quad engagement without worrying about balance. Just don't try that position with a free bar unless you enjoy falling backward. It's stable, joint-friendly, and great for building confidence under heavier loads. That's an easy S tier. Then we've got the Bulgarian split squat, also known as the exercise that makes grown men see stars. This single leg move builds strength, stability, and balance while giving unmatched stretch to the working quad. Dumbbells, barbell, Smith machine, take your pick. All variations are brutal and effective, earning a strong S tier. You don't need much weight, just controlled form and humility. The burn speaks for itself. Now, the split squat. Similar idea, but the rear foot stays on the ground instead of elevated. That small difference changes everything. You lose some range of motion in deep knee flexion, meaning less quad activation. It's still solid for stability and balance, but not elite for hypertrophy. That's a practical B tier. If you insist on keeping it, elevate the front foot slightly. That tweak alone improves tension dramatically. The dumbbell squat is another great starting point for beginners. It teaches control, posture, and movement mechanics without the intimidation of a barbell. But as you get stronger, progressive overload becomes a nightmare. You'll run out of dumbbell weight fast. Once you're hugging 100-pound dumbbells, you'll realize the limitation. That's why it's B tier. Excellent early on, but capped potential later. Now let's shift to bodyweight training and see what's worth keeping. Jump squats might torch calories, but when it comes to hypertrophy, they're more cardio than construction. Explosive power? Sure. Muscle growth? Not much. They're fun for conditioning, not for size. Straight D tier. Pistol squats, on the other hand, are impressive but overrated for muscle building. They demand balance and mobility more than tension or overload. You'll get some activation, but not the kind that grows serious muscle fibers. Still, they build coordination and knee stability, so they land in C tier. Bodyweight squats, the bread and butter for beginners. Great for mobility and endurance, but the lack of load makes them ineffective for hypertrophy once you've adapted. Fantastic warm-up, terrible main builder. C tier. Sissy squats. And yes, despite the name, they're no joke. They give a deep stretch in the rectus femoris and vastus muscles, which is great for mobility and tendon health. But progressive overload is tricky, and the movement can feel awkward for many lifters. Fun accessory, not a foundation. That's a solid B tier. Here's a quick universal leg day rule. A closer stance targets the quads. A wider stance brings in the glutes and adductors. If you're chasing quad dominance, keep your feet under your hips and your torso tall. Now, the 45-degree leg press, one of the most misunderstood machines in the gym. Done right, it's a phenomenal mass builder. Keep your feet low on the platform to emphasize knee flexion, and don't lock out at the top. That's how you stay in the growth zone and save your knees. You can overload safely and control tempo perfectly. Ignore the gym bros stacking every plate in sight. Tension matters more than weight. That's a strong A tier. Mechanical precision and hypertrophy in one move. The horizontal leg press, on the other hand, doesn't deliver the same stretch or load potential. Its limited range of motion and awkward resistance curve reduce quad activation significantly. It's fine for burnout sets or if you're protecting your back, but not your main event. That's a C tier. Now for the exercise that's been in every serious program ever written, the leg extension. This is isolation done right. It targets all four heads of the quadriceps directly, with constant tension and minimal joint strain. A few setup tweaks can turn it from good to elite. Slide your seat back slightly to create a deeper stretch, and pause at the top to increase time under tension. Add drop sets, slow negatives, or partial reps. Your quads will light up like fire alarms. This one deserves its S-tier crown. Accessible, precise, and effective from beginner to pro. Deadlifts, though? As powerful as they are, they're not a quad movement. They're posterior chain dominant. Glutes, hamstrings, and lower back take most of the load. Great for overall strength, not for front of thigh hypertrophy. So even though I love them, they sit at C tier for quads specifically. Bosu ball squats, the pineapple on pizza of leg training. Sure, they work stabilizers, but if you're training for growth, you're better off using that time on something heavy and stable. Unless you're rehabbing or testing balance, skip it. Straight D tier. Finally, step-ups. A solid unilateral exercise, but not a quad monster. They hit glutes and stabilizers more than your thighs, and rarely provide enough stretch or overload for true hypertrophy. They're useful for variety or athletic conditioning, but for pure mass, they're mid-pack. That's C tier. If you've made it this far, you already know which moves build mass and which just burn calories. And if this breakdown's helping you rethink your leg day, tap that like button. It helps the channel reach more lifters who are tired of skipping leg day memes. Here's the truth. You don't need 20 different squat variations to build your legs. You just need the right handful, done with intent. Your S-tier and A-tier exercises, high bar back squats, hack squats, Bulgarian splits, Smith squats, leg press, and leg extensions are where real growth happens. The B tiers round out your strength and coordination. Everything below that? Nice for warm-ups or ego boosts, but they won't transform your legs. Leg training isn't about doing everything. It's about choosing the right moves, locking in your form, and showing up week after week, even when every step afterward feels like a punishment. Comment below if you agree or disagree with my ranking structure. I'll be glad to hear your opinion and experience. If you want calves that actually show, the S-tier exercises coming up are non-negotiable. Calves, the most roasted muscle group on the planet. You can be benching 3 plates, deadlifting a small car, squatting like a Greek statue, and if your calves are tiny, people will still find a way to clown you. Calves are the one muscle group where even your friends stop lying. Oh bro, you look big. Except your calves. Those are rough. But here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Calves are not all genetics. They're stubborn, sure. They're annoying, yes. But they follow the same rules every other muscle does. Tension, progression, range of motion, consistency. If you train them right, they will grow. So today, we're ranking the most common calf exercises from S-tier goats all the way down to the D-tier, please stop wasting your time, movements. Let's fix those chicken legs. Bodyweight calf raise. Let's start with the exercise everyone does by accident while walking up a flight of stairs. Look, bodyweight calf raises aren't useless. They're fine for beginners. They're fine for warming up. They're fine if you're trying to impress absolutely no one. But for building actual muscle, not enough. Bodyweight calf raises mimic the same force your calves experience when you walk, which means your body is already adapted to them. There's zero progressive overload, zero tension challenge, and zero reason your calves should grow from this. Great for activation, great for mobility, terrible for hypertrophy. Straight into D tier, elevated bodyweight calf raise. This is the slightly better cousin. By elevating the feet, you get a deeper stretch, a longer range of motion, a stronger contraction. And yes, it feels amazing. But here's the problem. It's still body weight. Still not enough load. Still not a real growth stimulus. Much better than the flat ground version, but still nowhere near a growth-focused exercise. C tier fits perfectly. One leg elevated bodyweight calf raise. Now we're talking. When you go from 2 legs to 1, the load doubles. When you add elevation, the stretch improves. When you control the movement, the activation skyrockets. This is the best pure bodyweight calf exercise you can do. And for some lifters, especially beginners, this can legitimately build some size. But you will quickly outgrow it. Eventually, your calf strength will surpass your bodyweight resistance, and progress stalls. So it earns a solid B tier. Good, not elite, but good. Weighted one-leg calf raise. This is the glow-up version. Add a dumbbell, a kettlebell, or even a weighted backpack, and suddenly the movement becomes a real hypertrophy exercise. Weighted one-leg raises give you heavy tension, deep stretch, huge contraction, full range of motion, perfect overload potential. This is the closest thing you can get to a machine-style movement without using a machine. A tier all day. Bodyweight donkey calf raise. Donkey calf raises have one special feature. They give you a crazy stretch. But for most people, the setup is awkward. The angle feels strange. The mind-muscle connection disappears. And unless you're in a 1970s Arnold documentary, you probably don't have someone sitting on your back for extra weight. Great stretch, not enough load, awkward mechanics. C tier, weighted donkey calf raise. Now, when you add weight, especially if your gym has the actual donkey calf raise machine, this exercise becomes a beast. The stretch is still elite. The contraction becomes insane. And the path of motion feels smooth and natural. But here's the catch. If you need to recreate this exercise using a Smith machine, the setup becomes messy, inconsistent, and borderline dangerous. And that knocks it down slightly. Still, with proper equipment, this is one of the best calf exercises in existence. A tier with a warning label. Standing calf raise machine. Now we enter the GOAT tier. The standing calf raise machine is arguably the single greatest calf exercise ever invented. Here's why. You can load it heavily. You get full stretch and full contraction. You can apply real progressive overload. It isolates the gastrocnemius perfectly. It keeps your form locked in. It just works. I have never seen someone use this machine consistently with proper form and progressive overload and not grow their calves. If you want bigger calves, this is your bread and butter. S tier, uncontested. Real quick, if you're learning something new already, hit the like button so more people stop blaming genetics for small calves and start training them properly. It genuinely helps the channel. Smith machine standing calf raise. No calf machine? No problem. The Smith machine version is nearly identical as long as you follow 2 rules. 1. Use an elevated surface. 2. Don't overload until your stability matches your strength. You still get a deep stretch, a hard contraction, heavy load potential. For most people, this is the best calf exercise available in a basic gym. Not quite as perfect as the machine version, but still absolutely elite. A tier. Seated calf raise. If the standing machine is the king of the gastrocnemius, the seated calf raise is the king of the soleus. Here's the hidden truth. If your calves don't grow, it's usually because your soleus is underdeveloped. The soleus makes up a bigger portion of the calf than the gastrocnemius, and it grows best under heavy seated loads. The seated calf raise gives you pure soleus activation, heavy resistance, perfect stretch, perfect contraction, high repetitions, low injury risk. This exercise fills the half of calf development everyone ignores. Another S-tier monster, biking. Let me say this clearly. No, biking will not magically build your calves into diamonds, but it does help. When you position the ball of your foot on the pedal, the calves work harder, especially during seated climbs. The downside? Limited load, limited progression, limited range of motion. But as a complement to real calf training, great. Solid B tier, Stairmaster. Another cardio tool that sneaks in some calf activation. If you stay on your toes, keeping your heels elevated, your calves work overtime to stabilize each step. Is it enough to build massive calves? Absolutely not. But paired with real hypertrophy work, it adds extra weekly volume for free. B tier feels right. Toe farmer walk. This exercise sounds like it should build calves extremely well, but in practice, it mostly just builds foot fatigue, questionable balance, and the type of pain you feel when you walk barefoot on Legos. There's tension, yes, but it's not constant. There's load, yes, but the movement pattern is awkward. There's activation, yes, but not enough to justify it being a top-tier exercise. It's still a good complement to real calf training. B tier. Horizontal leg press calf raise. The horizontal leg press calf raise gives you stability and the ability to load heavy, but the angle limits your stretch. Without that deep stretch, you miss half the growth stimulus. Good exercise, not amazing. B tier. 45-degree leg press calf raise. This is the leg press version that actually slaps. The 45-degree angle gives you a deeper stretch, a stronger contraction, better foot positioning, a more natural movement path. You can go heavy safely. You can overload consistently. You can hit high reps without form breakdown. This is genuinely one of the best calf builders available, especially in commercial gyms. A tier without question. Now, if you want to unlock your full calf potential, these tips matter just as much as the exercises. 1. Don't bend your knees during standing variations. Bent knees equals reduced calf tension. Straight legs equals full gastrocnemius activation. 2. Always use an elevated surface. Flat ground calf raises leave gains on the table. Elevation equals stretch. Stretch equals growth. 3. High reps are your friend. Calves respond insanely well to 20 to 30 reps, controlled tempo, slow negatives, hard contractions. 4. Train calves often. These muscles recover fast. 2 to 5 times per week is completely normal. 5. Pause at the top, pause at the bottom. If you bounce reps, you turn calf raises into ankle raises. Control the full range. Follow these rules, and any decent calf program becomes a great calf program. If you made it this far, drop a comment below. I genuinely want to hear your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree. That feedback helps shape what I make next. And if this video helped you at all, make sure to give it a like. I'll see you in the next one.